Welcome to Lakers Talk with Gerald, episode 172. We are going to talk about the Lakers' victory against the Chicago Bulls. We won tonight, 121-110. We really needed this victory. We had just lost to the Chicago Bulls. The game before that, they won at home. The game that LeBron James came back after a month of being out. And to be honest, we didn't really expect him to be back so soon. We thought maybe another week or something he'd be reevaluated. He had to do some kind of ramp up process, and then he'd be able to get back in the game. In this case, he's just randomly like, hey, by the way, I'm playing. I believe it was Sunday against the Chicago Bulls when it was at home. We ended up losing that game. He was rusty. You can tell he was a little slow, defensive wise and schemes wise. And he came off the bench that game, and it threw the team off a little bit. It threw, I don't know why, because he came off the bench, but by the time he came off the bench that game, we were down a bunch already. So they had the same starter group that usually starts, and they got down really big before LeBron James came in that game. But that is what it is. That game we lost. So here we are. We really needed this victory. We only had 7 games left. We were somewhere in 9th position. If we lost this game, we would have fallen out of the top 10, which is the play-in. And that's what we could not afford to do, especially with, so many games left in the season. So I was really proud of the Lakers to get this victory. It really was the starting group. Another change that they made really recently was that we put Austin Reeves in the starting lineup. Took Beasley out because Beasley really had been kind of stinking up lately. He's kind of been not hitting when it counted, hitting his threes and then kind of making some turnovers. And so, he wasn't really like being a plus in the game with the starters. So Austin Reeves just has a better fit with that starting lineup. I mean, at least he plays better when it comes to being with like D'Lo, LeBron James, AD. They just kind of fit better. Better defense. He's shooting decent from 3, and he's able to just create and pass and all that kind of good stuff. The instincts are a little better, and it's kind of nice when he's in that starting lineup actually. And so the other thing too is D'Lo. This was D'Lo's first game back after being out about 3 games with a hip injury, and so that was kind of out of the blue. We didn't know. I mean, he played like a couple games and he was pretty good, and then all of a sudden it's like, D'Angelo's out. He has a hip injury and he ended up missing 3 games. And I saw on Twitter a lot of people were very upset, starting to get upset because we were losing. And so then everyone's looking around. They were talking about Beasley, his efforts. They were getting on him. I was getting on a little bit on Dennis Schroeder sometimes because sometimes Dennis Schroeder's good. Other times he tends to be kind of bad. So, those are things that they were getting on. They were, like I said, Dennis Schroeder, Beasley, and then they started to get on D'Lo because they were like, wait a minute, if he's going to keep, because word came out, I think the last game that medical cleared him to play, and then he ended up warming up, and then he supposedly made his own decision to just rest a little bit more. But according, so word got out on Twitter, and so everybody just kind of going crazy. Hey, no, if he keeps missing games and just deciding to sit, maybe he should just go leave. It's a lot of like fans out there that just kind of react, and just kind of start switching on players really fast. D'Lo has been a really good player for us since he's gotten here. Missing a couple games because his hip injured or whatever it may be, I'm not going to like jump ship and say, oh my goodness, hey, he needs to go. So he came back really great tonight. LeBron James was great. Anthony Davis was great. Austin Reeves played well. Really the starters. Our starters was like high pluses on this game, and then our bench, every time the bench came in. By the way, we had a 17-point lead in the first half, in the first quarter. And then as soon as the bench came in, squandered that lead right away. And one thing that, we're kind of got on Darvin Ham for is his substitutions and learning how to play, what combination of players to put on the court and to have on the court for the best defensive, offensive play. And so far, he's kind of been struggling sometimes with that. Like, there's times when the lineups were flourishing, and then there's times when it's like you can see the defensive matchups aren't very good. The other team's just a little bigger than us, and they're getting a lot of like mid range and post up and drives, because we don't have much bigs, right? And a lot of times he would be playing like kind of like 3-guard lineups with AD at the center and maybe like Vanderbilt at the other forward, and it'd be only 2 guys 6'8" and above, and then everybody else would be 6'6" and below. And so one of the things, since LeBron now back, that gives us 3 guys in the starting lineup that's 6'8" and above that all can play. And then the next 2 guys are D'Lo, 6'5", and Austin Reeves, 6'5". Now, when we bring the bench in, we just substituted like this. We just brought the whole bench in, took AD out, took LeBron out, took Austin Reeves out, took D'Lo out, and Vanderbilt out. We just put another 5 in there, and we were just getting killed. We were getting killed. They evaporated that entire 17-point lead. Pretty much we didn't get it. We needed AD and all of them to come back in. And then we kind of regained the lead, or we went back and forth in the second quarter. We ended up getting the lead back up to 8 points by halftime. And third quarter, we built that lead back up to about 18 points. And then same thing happened in the third quarter, same substitution pattern from the first quarter. And then we lost that. Chicago went on an 11-0 run, took that lead back down to 7. And then I think that's when Darvin Ham eventually, he might have put D'Lo or put one of the starters back in. He might have brought Anthony Davis back in or something like that, right? And then they eventually took the lead again. And so then once again, we bring the starters back in, and that's when we're able to fight back, regain the lead, and keep the lead for the rest of the game. And then, at that point, he started playing Rui a little more, and he started playing a little bigger lineup, a little more to where he was keeping a bigger lineup on their taller guards and their small forwards, which was playing pretty well against us. So at the end of the day, our record now is 38-38. We are back to 500 basketball. That's one thing we have been struggling to try to get to and maintain, to be 500. We were below 500 the whole season. And so the fact that we are 500 right now, we got 6 remaining games in this regular season. To be honest, we really got to still, it's so tight in the Western Conference. Right now, we're in the 8th position. That would be, the playing against the 7th seed. We would have 2 chances to make a playoff spot, 2 chances to win 1 game. So, but it is so close that we really can't afford to go, 3-3 the last 3 games, because the other teams that are behind us, they're so close that they can easily, like a 1 or 2 games behind us. So, all right, let's take a look at these standings really fast, just so we can have a better understanding of where we are in that Western Conference. So, as I mentioned, we're in the 8th spot, 38-38, 500. Minnesota Timberwolves are right above us at 39-37. So they're a full game ahead of us. Right now, they are playing the Phoenix Suns. It's a very close game. Last time I checked, as I'm speaking right now, that game is on. Now, we really want Phoenix Suns to win that game, because we want to try to catch up and get that 7th seed if we can and pass Minnesota. So we will see. And then we're playing Minnesota on Friday. So that's going to be a huge game with big implications, big playoff implications. So, and Minnesota is playing darn well. Cat is back playing. They pretty much got a healthy roster now. So they're playing pretty well. So, as I mentioned, and right behind us is the New Orleans Pelicans, who actually have the same record as us, 38-38 also. But we just happen to have the tiebreaker with them. And then in 10th place is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who actually won tonight. They are 38-39. So technically they're only half game behind us. So if we were to lose one more game and they stayed the same, or if we were to lose one more game and they won a game, we would be out of the playoff position. That's how close it is. So, or we would be right there, you know what I mean? Or 10th place, something like that. And I really don't want 9th or 10th place, because that playing position, you basically have to win 2 games in a row in order to make the 8th spot. And that's just, higher level of difficulty, because all of these teams in the Western Conference are really, really good. Even though they're at the, in these positions from 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, they're all good teams. Any of these teams can, beat you in any given day, because they are really good. And so we'd have to be playing well. Everything would have to go perfectly lined, no issues, no injuries, things like that. So we really don't want to leave it in, we don't want to leave it to perfect health and all that. So unfortunately, we dug ourselves into a hole early in the season and got down so bad, starting off 2-10. Now, we're playing catch up. So in order for us to get good position to try to make a good run in this playoffs, or to make the playoffs, we need to win. Out of these 6 games, we need to win the next. We got to win 4 out of 6. I mean, ideally, of course, it'd be a perfect world, win the next 6-0. But I hope we can do that. We got to, everybody's back, so we will see. We're just waiting on Mo Bamba. He's the only person that is not available. Hopefully he'll be back in a week or so. I don't know, but we really do need his height. So, all right, next game, Minnesota, Friday. Let's go over the stats a little bit. Now, Anthony Davis led us in all scores, 38 points. He had 10 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He was 11 out of 14. He had 14 free throws, 11 out of 14. He was 13 out of 20 field goals, 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. So that was nice. LeBron James, doing his thing. He looked a lot more like himself. He was moving around a lot better. He was, driving to the basket at full speed. His defense was, his twitch moves and muscles and all that stuff seemed to be working a lot better in this game. He had 25 points. He had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He was a plus 23 in this game. He was 10 for 19 field goals, 1 out of 3 3-point field goals, and 4 out of 4 from the free throw line. So that he did really well. D'Angelo Russell, 17 points, 7 out of 12 field goals, 2 out of 4 from 3-point range, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. He had the highest plus minus in this game at a plus 35. He was just playing very well. He had 3 turnovers, but in the big scheme of the game, he played a damn good game. It was flowed really well with that starting 5. And Austin Reeves, same thing, really good. He had 19 points, 1 steal, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. He was 7 for 8 field goals, 1 out of 2 from 3-point range, and he also was 4 for 4 from the free throw line. So that starting lineup, everybody was the lowest was Vanderbilt, which was a plus 11, and he played the lowest amount of minutes out of all the starters. Everybody else, Davis had a plus 16, Reeves had a plus 28. I mentioned D. Russ with plus 35, and then LeBron with a plus 23. So that just shows you right there. And then there was no one on the bench that had a plus. Now, I thought out of everyone on the bench, I thought Rui Hachimura played the best, even though he only played 16 minutes. He was 3 out of 6 field goals, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. He had 16 minutes. Now, I feel like he should have had a little more time. I feel he should have gotten about 20 minutes, or 20 to 22 minutes, something like that, right? It's a little bit that I felt like we played Schroeder a little bit too long, and he played 21 minutes off the bench. He played the most minutes out of anyone on the bench. Right after that was Troy Brown. with 20 minutes. Now, Dennis Schroeder did end up with 8 points. He was 2 out of 7 field goals. It wasn't efficient. He got 4 of his points out of free throws, 4 out of 5. And Troy Brown Jr. didn't score any points. He was 0 for 3 field goals, 20 minutes. He had 4 rebounds. He was a -6. Dennis Schroeder was a -14. Beasley also didn't score anything. He only played 10 minutes, which he's been struggling recently, and he made a few just blunderous turnovers in this game that cost us, a big run, letting Chicago get back in the game. So they had to pull him early. That's the reason why he only got 10 minutes, and that's why, he had the highest negative in the game at a -20. As I mentioned, 0 points, 4 turnovers. Look at that. I mean, he played one of the least amount of time with the highest amount of turnovers. So that was interesting right there. So 1 assist, 1 rebound. That pretty much was it. Wenyen Gabriel came in, played 10 minutes, but he didn't score. He got a few rebounds. And then, of course, at the last minute, we took AD out, brought in, D. Reed and Lonnie Walker. So overall, good victory. A win is a win. Everybody seemed like they're healthy, so I'm looking forward to that next game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And one thing, let's check the scores. Let's just see where they are right now. All right. So the latest score with 2 minutes left to play against the Timberwolves and the Suns. Right now, the Suns are up 99-94. So we will see. We'll see how that all plays out. I'm not going to really stay on to report the score of that. All right, everybody, we're looking forward to the next game against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday. All right, that's going to do it for episode 172. Now, anybody listening, please make sure you subscribe, follow me wherever you listen to me at, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast at and you're catching me at. Please go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification button, make a comment, and, let me know what you think. And if you are on Twitter, you can find me at Lakers Talk with G. Please go in there and let me know how y'all feel. What I'm going to start doing is reading some of the comments on Twitter and, giving shout outs to different Twitter handles and then seeing if, anybody wants to join some lives. All right. Once again, that's going to do it. Lakers Talk with Gerald, episode 172. And I'm officially out.